Welcome to another video in a series about using Google Classroom with NVDA or JAWS. This is the first of two parts exploring the assignment details page. In this part, we will concentrate on navigating the page. I'll be demonstrating with NVDA, but the commands in JAWS are very similar. In previous videos, when we expanded the summary for an assignment item, we saw that at the end of the summary there was a button to view the details. Now we're going to see what happens when you press enter on that button and open the assignment details page. I happen to be on the Your Work page, but we know that we can see an assignment and its summary information on lots of pages: To Do, Your Work, and the Classwork tab, for example. I'm on the Your Work page, and I'm going to navigate to one of the assignments and then open it up so that we can get to the View Details button.
Button collapsed. Expand 9-7 writing assignment.
This is the assignment I'm interested in, so once I hear that it's collapsed, I'm going to press enter to expand it.
Expanded. Collapse 9-7 writing assignment.
I'll use my down arrow several times until I hear the link to view details.
9-7 writing assignment. September 14, assigned. Link attachment, visited link view details.
There's the link to the details page that I'm looking for, so I'll press enter.
9-7 writing assignment.
And now the assignment details page opens. The assignment details page contains all the information needed to work an assignment. It can contain attachments such as links and files. It has a place to add or create work, and it also has places to make class comments for everyone to see and private comments for only your teacher. Like all pages, the assignment details page includes the main classroom navigation buttons: Main Menu, Google Apps, Google Account, and Help. There are very few links on this page. There's always one for the class title, and that may be it unless there's any attachments, and attachments have a link associated with them. Likewise, there are very few headings on this page. There's a heading for the class title and a heading for the assignment title. Now that assignment title is the key from which to start navigating the page. So when the assignment detail page opens, if you do not hear the title of your assignment, use H or Shift H shortcut keys until you hear the title of the assignment. I'll do that now.
No next heading. Main landmark 9-7 writing assignment heading level 1.
There's my main landmark, and that was the title for this assignment. So always go to that place and then you can start your navigation. As in other pages that we've used in Google Classroom, once we've gone to the heading, in order to see all the details underneath that heading, we use the down arrow. And that's what we'll do on this page as well. So let's get started. I'll use my first down arrow.
Menu button collapsed. Sub-menu assignment options.
That's that menu button collapse that we often hear that's used to copy or report abuse. The next down arrow gives me the teacher's name.
6.math.
And then I'll hear the date the assignment was posted with the next down arrow.
September 7th, edited 2:20 p.m.
Now next is an optional field. If the assignment is graded, you'll hear the points for the assignment. If the assignment is ungraded, this next down arrow would skip this point.
100 points.
The next field is the due date, but there will only be something in this field if there is a due date for this assignment.
Due September 14th.
This time there was a due date, September 14th. The next down arrow will give you assignment instructions. Now, it's optional for the teacher to put instructions in, but generally speaking, there are some instructions. It may take more than one down arrow to hear all of the instructions. I'll press the down arrow now.
Read the 2 essays in Chapter 4 of the textbook. Listen to the attached videos for some tips on writing a compare and contrast essay. Then use the attached Google Doc to write a short essay, comparing the choices the characters make.
So here the teacher told us what we needed to do and what we should expect to see in this assignment. We're reading something in our textbook. That won't be attached to this assignment, but she said that there's an attached video with some writing tips, and that there's also a Google Doc attached that we need to write a short essay in to complete the assignment. Now let's press the down arrow again.
Link attachment, YouTube video, comparison contrast essays, 4 minutes.
Since there was an attachment on this assignment, the down arrow took us to that attachment. If I want to open it and listen to it, I could just press and enter at this point. Let's do another down arrow.
Class comments.
We get to class comments. We always hear class comments, and then if there are any class comments in there already, the next down arrow will go through those comments. So I'm going to press the next down arrow.
Add class comment. Edit required multi-line space.
The next down arrow took us to a place where we can add a class comment. So we know that at this point there are no class comments on this assignment. There's going to be a separate video explaining how to add class comments and private comments, so I won't go into detail about doing that right now. Instead, let's press another down arrow to move on.
Out of edit button unavailable, no indent post.
That down arrow just told us that because we did not put in a comment at this point, that the post button was unavailable. The next down arrow.
Complimentary landmark your work.
Now we've entered the Your Work zone on the assignment details page. Here we'll hear the current status of the assignment. We'll also hear if there are currently any attachments that can be worked on, like the Google Doc the teacher mentioned in the instructions. There'll be a place to add or create additional attachments, and then there'll be an action button so you can take some action on this assignment. Let's use our down arrows and hear about each one of those in turn.
Assigned.
We heard assigned. That's the status of this assignment. The assignment can have 6 different statuses. It's assigned if your work has not been completed and it is before the due date or there is no due date. You would have heard missing if you had not completed your work and the work was late, if the due date was before today's date. If you'd completed your work on time or early, but the teacher had not looked at it yet, the status would be turned in. If you had completed your work, but you turned it in after the due date, and the teacher has not reviewed it, the status would be turned in late. And if the teacher has reviewed your work, there are 2 statuses that it could be in. If it was a graded assignment and the teacher had finished reviewing it, the status would be graded. And if the teacher had finished reviewing your work, but it was an ungraded assignment, the status would be returned. So let's move on and see what we hear next. I'll do another down arrow.
Link attachment, Google Docs, Sally Student 97 writing assignment.
If your teacher has attached a personal copy of a Google file for you to use, this is the area that it will be in. The name of the file will start with your name. If you've already been working on this assignment and haven't turned it in yet, you also may have added or created a file, and you would hear it at this point as well. Let's press another down arrow.
Button remove Sally Student 97 writing assignment.
Depending on the status of an assignment, you may hear the remove button next. You want to be very careful with the remove button. We'll have a separate section to discuss the ramifications of using the remove button. So for now, let's just press one more down arrow.
Menu button collapse sub-menu add or create.
Now we arrived at the add or create menu button. Underneath this button is a sub-menu that has different items that allow you to add files or create new files. We'll look at that button in depth in a little while. Let's use another down arrow.
Button turn in.
Now we've arrived at what I like to call the assignment action button. You could hear different things when you get to this point. We just heard turn in. There's also mark as complete, resubmit, and unsubmit. Let's take a minute and talk about when you would see each one of those buttons. The turn in button will be present if you have added or created something for the assignment. In this case, there's a Google Doc sitting in our work, and that's what triggers the turn in button. If there were currently no attachments in the Your Work area, the button would say Mark as Complete. That button is used if you have not added or created an attachment, but you still want to mark the assignment as complete. The button changes to the Unsubmit button after you turn in work. If the teacher has not yet reviewed your work, you can press the Unsubmit button, make your changes, and then you will get the Turn In button again to turn in your work. If the teacher has already reviewed your work, you may still be allowed to use the Unsubmit button to make changes. This time, after you make the changes, you will get the Resubmit button instead of the Turn In button. And that's the end of the Your Work zone of the assignment details page. Now let's use our down arrow and continue on.
Private comments.
We're in the private comments area. If there are any private comments from your teacher, the next down arrows would go through each of the comments.
Add private comment.
Now there are no private comments attached to this assignment yet, so the down arrow went immediately to the place where you can add a private comment. And we'll look at those when we look at making class comments in a later video. Let's do one more down arrow.
Out of edit button unavailable, no indent post.
Just like when we looked at the class comment, because we did not add a private comment, we are hearing that the post button is unavailable. And one more down arrow.
Content info landmark menu button collapse sub-menu help and feedback.
When you get to the help and feedback button, that is the end of the page. So in this video, we've learned about the basic navigation of the assignment details page. In part 2, we will see how to add, create, and remove attachments to an assignment.